Practice was good. We had a good film session and not a whole lot of, on-court stuff other than kind of some strategic drill work and some light shooting, and but a lot of good stuff. I think it's giving us some momentum here to be at home for the whole week and be rested and having good practice sessions every day, whether they're heavy or light. They're all very helpful.
Was Jonathan able to do anything more?
Yeah, he did 3-on-3 before practice, and that went well. And then he took part in all of practice. Tomorrow he will scrimmage. He won't play in the game tomorrow, but he will take part in a 5-on-5 scrimmage tomorrow evening before our game, and that'll give us a good gauge for where he is.
I was going to say, what's the next scrimmage? Obviously, is the step that into playing. How much do you need to see of that before everybody feels comfortable?
Yeah, Rick will determine that, watching the scrimmage tomorrow, and he'll talk to JK and see how he feels, and the two of them will make that decision.
How's Draymond doing? Was he able to practice at all?
He practiced. He said he's feeling better. We'll list him as questionable for tomorrow, but he's definitely trending upward.
And yesterday, did you guys come out mostly unscathed injury-wise?
I'm sorry?
Yesterday, did you guys come out mostly unscathed injury-wise?
From last night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys went 7 with Houston last year. You see Houston for the first time tomorrow. What stands out about that matchup in the postseason? What are you looking for tomorrow?
We actually went 12 with Houston last year. I mean, I don't know if any two teams have played each other 12 times in one season since the 60s when there were, 8 teams in the league. Raymond should look that up if he,
actually looked it up last year. There were a couple teams that done it over the course of the years, but it's been a while.
Okay. Good enough. I mean, not exact, but at least he's, starting to work. So I'm glad about that. But yeah, I don't think I've ever been in a situation in my, 40 years in the league, but not quite, 37, where two teams played each other 12 times. But that's, so we couldn't be more familiar with them and vice versa. Obviously, the difference is you had Kevin Durant, things change. And so they are an incredible team this year. Ime's done a great job there the last couple of years, just, kind of building an identity, the size, the physicality, the defense, and what they've added this year obviously is kind of picking up off that 7-game series we had where they just pummeled us on the glass. Very obvious in the offseason. They said that's going to be, part of our identity. We're going to play 2 bigs. We're going to rebound everything. And they're getting over 40% of their missed shots on offensive rebounds, which is a stunning number. So even without Kevin, they're just going to be a huge, literally and figuratively, challenge for us.
Their team looks like quite different than it did last playoffs for a number of reasons, but just what do you make of how their roster is built with the ability to play 3 or 4 or 7-footers at one time, not really having a traditional point guard? In the age where we haven't really seen anything like that.
Well, I think this is obviously a function of what they saw in the playoffs last year, playing Şengün and Adams, and how effective that was, how much it can impact the game, and losing Fred, to the injury for the year. So they really pivoted to just a massive lineup, playing Thompson, as the lead guard at times, and Kevin obviously on the wing. I think in general the league is going bigger again. The trend is now to start to play bigger lineups and 2 bigs. The difference between now and the 80s when everyone was playing 2 bigs is that teams are doing that and playing fast and shooting threes. Houston's probably the exception in some ways. I mean, I think they're last in the league in 3-point attempts, but the overall trend towards playing bigger in the league is something that's real, and it's Houston is taking it to an extreme.
On that note, almost a quarter of the way into the season, a lot of pace, a lot of size, like you're saying. What have been sort of the challenges, game planning, defensive game plans to sort of match those trends?
Well, for us, it's the Draymond question of, do we start him at the 4 or the 5? Last night we started Quentin at the 5, and he looked really good. And we've had some games this year where we've started Quentin and Draymond together. For a while we lost our rhythm there, so we went small. Going small for us means Draymond at the 5, and it's a way for us to kind of rediscover our identity. But we're under no illusions that we're going to be able to go deep in the playoffs playing small all the time. It has to be a threat, but not something we're counting on over the course of 48 minutes. So we have to decide how we're going to approach each game. Lineup combination wise, QP and Al and Trace are all going to factor into that in a big way.
Steve, how hard is it to play small and be competitive at a high level when like you mentioned, the league seems to be going bigger? Well,
we beat Houston last year in this exact scenario you're talking about. Took 7 games, but we started small with Draymond at the 5. It was a huge challenge, but our guys stepped up to it. And but as you said, the trend is really spreading. Portland, it's not just playing 2 bigs when we're talking about the size. Portland, it's size, positional size. Size at every spot, and Portland's different. They've got Klingon, but they're really big, at the guard spots and switch everything. And so you're seeing more and more teams doing that, and putting just a lot of size at different spots. And that's not something we can match. We're just, with Steph and Draymond being so important to us, we are going to be positionally small at those 2 spots. So it's up to us to find the right combinations around them to make sure we can still play our game, find our rhythm, connect the game at both ends, and still compete, in the paint.
You guys haven't rebounded well most of the season, but last night you out-rebounded a big team. What was the key to that?
I think just the offensive execution led to really good defensive balance. We only had 10 turnovers. 3 of them were in the last couple minutes, I think, with the game already decided. And that's what I mean when I say connect the game. If you're not taking care of the ball, you're vulnerable in transition, but also on the offensive glass because everything is scattered. And so, you have to be sharp with your rotations and your box outs, but you have to be sharp with the ball as well.
And when you go back and look at that first quarter, I'm not sure you did or not, but
which fourth quarter?
The first quarter last night.
Oh, the first quarter, yeah.
That was
no, I did.
What you wanted. What did you see, and what changes did it force?
Well, we actually got good shots to start the game. That's why I didn't take the time out when it was 11-0. I think we were 0 for 6, but I think we got 4 or 5 really good looks, so we were executing. But what I saw as that first quarter went on was a lack of focus defensively in terms of knowing the game plan, trying to take out George and Markkanen and really be focused on them. And we let George get 4 open threes in the first quarter. So that was the main problem. We just didn't have that sense of desperation that you have to have when you're trying to dig your way out of a 3-game losing streak. So that's what changed. I thought top of the second, Pat and Will came in, the energy changed, the ball was flying up the floor, spacing was good, started to feel good about ourselves as the shots went in, and that improved our defense too.
Brandon sat that whole second quarter. What have you made of his season so far?
Brandon is a really, really good player, and he is at his best when the ball's moving and he's creating that flow. When he gets in trouble, and I've talked to him about this, it's when he's trying to do too much. We saw the same thing last year, early in the year. He wants so badly to be great. He's trying to create plays on his own when all he has to do is be himself and swing the ball. shoot the ball when he's open, and when he does those things, he's brilliant. I mean, you see the rebounding, you see the intelligence, the connection. So I would say, 19 games in, he knows, because I've asked him these same things that I'm telling you. He knows what he has to do to be the best version of himself, and he just has to focus on those things.